Akashvani presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets US President Joe Biden at the White House in Washington, D.C., also holds discussions with CEOs of leading American companies. Prime Minister says pipeline of talent needed for India and US to maintain momentum of growth. Home Minister Amit Shah calls an all-party meeting in New Delhi on Saturday to hold discussion on the situation in Manipur. Two-day G20 Labour Engagement Group meeting to begin today in Patna, Bihar. And in football, India begin campaign at the SAFF Championships with 4-0 win over Pakistan in Bengaluru. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met US President Joe Biden at the White House in Washington, D.C. last night. President Biden, along with the First Lady of the US, Dr. Jill Biden, received Mr. Modi at the Presidential Palace. During the meeting, Prime Minister Modi presented special gifts to President Biden and the First Lady. He gifted Mr. Biden a handcrafted sandalwood box intricately carved with flora and fauna patterns. The box is made by a master craftsman from Jaipur in Rajasthan using sandalwood sourced from Karnataka's Mysore. Mr. Modi also presented a lab-grown 7.5-carat green diamond to First Lady Jill Biden, reflecting the chemical and optical properties of earth-minded diamonds while being eco-friendly. Furthermore, the Prime Minister gifted President Biden a first edition print of the English translation of the book The 10 Principal Upanishads. The book is co-authored by Mr. Biden's favorite Irish poet William Butler Yeats and Sri Purohit Swami, highlighting the shared admiration for Indian spirituality and the influence of Indian poet Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi held separate meetings with CEOs of leading American companies, including Micron Technology, GIM, General Electric and General Electric Aerospace and Applied Materials. During his interaction with Micron Technology CEO Sanjay Mehrotra, Mr. Modi invited the participation in semiconductor manufacturing in India. Mr. Mehrotra said he is very impressed with the vision that the Prime Minister has for India and the advances that the country is making. During his discussions with CEO of General Electric and General Electric Aerospace, H. Lawrence Culp Jr., Prime Minister Modi appreciated the company for its long-term commitment of manufacturing in India and called for General Electric's greater technology collaborations in India. While meeting with Applied Materials CEO Gary E. Dickerson, the Prime Minister invited them for contributing in strengthening the semiconductor ecosystem and development of process technology and advanced packaging capabilities in India. Mr. Dickerson said his company will soon be announcing an innovation center in India that will focus on innovation and equipment. Prime Minister Modi and First Lady of the US also visited the National Science Foundation at Alexandria in Virginia last evening. They met students from the United States and India who are learning skills to succeed in industries vital to the economies of the two countries. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Modi said to maintain a growth momentum, India and the US need a pipeline of talent.
आज भारत और अमेरिका को ग्रोथ का मोमेंटम बनाए रखने के लिए एक पाइपलाइन ऑफ टैलेंट उसकी भी जरूरत है, जहां एक और अमेरिका के पास उच्च कोटि के शिक्षण संस्थान है, एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजी, वहीं भारत के पास विश्व की सबसे बड़ी युवा फैक्ट्री है और इसलिए मुझे विश्वास है कि भारत और अमेरिका की साझेदारी सस्टेनेबल और इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ का इंजन साबित होगी.
The Prime Minister said education, skill and innovation are important for a bright future. He said in India, government has brought the new education policy in which education and skilling have been integrated.
हमने नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में शिक्षा और स्किलिंग को इंटीग्रेट किया है. स्किल इंडिया मिशन के तहत हमने अब तक 50 मिलियन लोगों को स्किलिंग दिया है और हम 15 मिलियन लोगों को फ्यूचर स्किल और आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, एडिटिव मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, ब्लॉकचेन, ड्रोन, इन सारे क्षेत्रों में हम स्किल कर रहे हैं. हमने स्कूलों में लगभग 10,000 अटल टिंकरिंग लैब्स उसकी स्थापना की है, जहां बच्चों को तरह तरह के इनोवेशन करने के लिए सभी प्रकार की सुविधाएं दी जा रही हैं.
Mr. Modi said India is working on multiple projects with the National Science Foundation and the country's goal is to make this decade a techade.
मैं बहुत खुश हूं कि आज वॉशिंगटन आते ही मुझे इतने यंग और क्रिएटिव माइंड के साथ जुड़ने का मौका मिला है। नेशनल साइंस फाउंडेशन के साथ मिलकर भारत कई प्रोजेक्ट पर काम कर रहा है, इसलिए ये वैल्यू भी विशेष है। हमारी वर्तमान और आने वाली पीढ़ियों को एक बेहतर भविष्य सुनिश्चित करने के लिए ये हम सभी का दायित्व है। इस उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए आवश्यक है एजुकेशन, स्किल, इनोवेशन, और भारत में हमने इस दिशा में कई प्रयास किए हैं।
The Prime Minister thanked Mrs. Jill Biden for planning and organizing the event. He said the life and the achievements of the First Lady of US are an inspiration for future generations. Welcoming the Prime Minister, Mrs. Biden said, with the official visit they are bringing together the world's oldest and largest democracies. She said the relationship is not just about governments, they are celebrating the families and the friendship between both countries. The First Lady of the US said the partnership between India and the United States is deep and expensive as they jointly tackle global challenges.
After years of strengthening ties, the U.S.-India partnership is deep and expansive as we jointly tackle global challenges. Mr. Prime Minister, I know that education is an issue close to your heart as it is to mine. You work to ensure that all Indians, especially girls, which I love, have the opportunity to pursue an education and gain the skills they need for our modern workforce. And it's so important.
Prime Minister Modi reached Washington, D.C. yesterday. He was accorded a ceremonial welcome and guard of honor at the Joint Base Andrews Airport. President Biden and the First Lady will host a state dinner in honor of the Prime Minister later in the evening. Mr. Modi will also address a joint sitting of the U.S. Congress at the invitation of congressional leaders, including the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy, and Senate Majority Leader Charles Schumer. Tomorrow, the Prime Minister will be jointly hosted at a luncheon by the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Home Minister Amit Shah has convened an all-party meeting in New Delhi on Saturday to discuss the situation in Manipur. The northeastern state has witnessed violence for over 1.5 months. Mr. Shah had visited Manipur last month and met a cross-sections of people to bring back peace in the state. Over 100 people have lost their lives while more than 3,000 people are injured in the violence which broke out in the state after a tribal solidarity march held on 3rd May to protest against the Meitei community's demand for scheduled tribe status. The Home Minister will be on a day-long visit to Chhattisgarh today. He will address a public meeting at the Ravi Shankar Stadium in Durg. Beneficiaries of various public welfare schemes of the central government as well as BJP workers from 20 assembly constituencies of Durg division will be present at the stadium. After addressing the meeting, Mr. Shah will leave for Balaghat in Madhya Pradesh. This is Akashvani giving you the news. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts. The two-day meeting of the G20 Labour Engagement Group will begin in Patna in Bihar today. Around 150 delegates from the G20 members and 8 guest countries will participate in the meeting. Governor of Bihar, Rajendra Vishwanath Arlekar, will inaugurate the function to be held at Ashoka Convention Centre. Union Minister for Labour and Employment Bhupendra Yadav and State Labour Resource Minister Surendra Ram will address the inaugural session. Talking to media, the chairman of Labour 20L20 Group, Hiranmaya Pandya, said the main agenda of the discussion will be the universalization of social security and enhancement of women's participation in the workforce, which is around 32% globally. He said the issue of knowledge and skill gap among workers has also been added in talking points. The chairman said during the meetings, the Labour Engagement Group and Business 20 Group will also discuss employment scenarios, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. We have a report.
During the summit meeting, the members countries will also discuss over mitigation of problems of workers of unorganized sector. There will be several bilateral and multilateral meetings of delegates. After the discussions, some interventions will also be suggested by experts and other delegates. Bihar government has made several arrangements in the hospitality of visiting guests. The delegates visited Modern Bihar Museum at Patna and also released cultural programs. They will also visit the birthplace of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, the Takht Hari Mandir Sahib in Patna city and heritage site of Old Nalanda University. Dharmendra Kumar Rai, Akashvani News. News, Patna.
A high-level official delegation from the Election Commission of India (ECI) arrived in Hyderabad yesterday on a 3-day visit to assess the preparedness for smooth conduct of assembly polls. The term of the Telangana Assembly is scheduled to end in January next year. The ECI delegation, comprising senior deputy election commissioners, deputy election commissioners and senior officials, will engage in crucial meetings with the Telangana Chief Electoral Officer, Special Police Nodal Officer and other senior officials to exchange insights regarding election security-related issues. The delegation will also hold discussions with the district collectors, superintendents of police and other senior officials regarding the poll preparations for the next 2 days. In flood-hit Assam, new areas have been inundated due to rain. Around 120,000 people are affected due to floods in 17 districts across the state. Flood water has snapped road connectivity at several places. Lakhimpur, Dibrugarh and Buxa among the worst affected districts. A total of 780 villages are submerged in surging waters. State Disaster Response Force teams have been pressed into rescue works. Over 2,000 people are staying in 31 relief camps being run by the administration. Rice, pulses, salt and drinking water are being distributed among the affected people. More than 30 migrants are feared dead after a small boat headed for Spain's Canary Islands sank yesterday. Migration-focused organizations criticized Spain and Morocco for not intervening earlier to rescue the vessel's passengers. They said around 60 people were on board the boat. Spain's Maritime Rescue Service said Moroccan patrol boat rescued 24 people. In SAFF Championship, the Indian men's football team began the campaign with a dominant 4-0 win over rivals Pakistan at the Sri Kantiraba Stadium in Bengaluru last night. For India, captain Sunil Chhetri scored a hat-trick while Udanta Singh Kumam scored the 4th goal in the 81st minute. Earlier in the day, Kuwait defeated Nepal 3-1 in the tournament opener. The 8 teams which are taking part in the 14th edition of the SAFF Championship have been divided into 2 groups. Group A comprises India, Kuwait, Nepal and Pakistan, while Group B consists of Lebanon, Maldives, Bhutan and Bangladesh. Sunil Chhetri led India, the highest-ranked team in Group A. The group stage will be played in a single round-robin format. The top 2 teams from each group will then play semi-final on the 1st of next month. India have won SAFF Championship 8 times and are the most successful team in the tournament. In Taipei Open Badminton Tournament, Indian shuttler and 3rd seed Aegis Pranoy will be facing Indonesia's Tommy Sugiarto for a spot in the quarterfinals of the men's singles today. Parupalli Kashyap and Tanya Hemnath will also be in action in the pre-quarterfinals, while Kashyap will play against Chinese Taipei's Su Li Yang in the men's singles. Tanya Hemnath will be up against top seed Tai Zhu Ying in the women's singles. And now for a look at today's newspapers, it's over to Ramya.
Thank you, Abhishek. Yoga's soft power reigns at UN during Modi's US visit, leads Hindustan Times. Yoga truly universal is for all, says PM as he leads UN event, headlines the Asian Age. Modi-powered brand India charms US coming ASAP. Musk tells PM, reports Business Line. Musk to drive Tesla into India soon, says Business Standard. Talks today, US supports India's rise as trade power, leads the Tribune. India wraps China for veto on terror attack for 26/11 plotter, reports The Pioneer. Biden equates Xi with dictators. China protests, informs The Hindu. Tourism has potential to unite people. PM to G20 ministers, writes The Statesman. Modi Mitra certificates for minorities. BJP outreach program starts today, reports The Indian Express. And finally, The Times of India reports Chhetri nets 3, coach gets red card as India rout Pakistan 4-0 in the SAFF Championship encounter. And with that, it's back to you, Abhishek.
Thank you, Ramya. Now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets US President Joe Biden at the White House in Washington, D.C., also holds discussions with CEOs of leading American companies. Prime Minister says pipeline of talent needed for India and US to maintain momentum of growth. Home Minister Amit Shah calls all-party meeting in New Delhi on Saturday to hold discussion on the situation in Manipur. Today, G20 Labour Engagement Group meeting to begin today in Patna, Bihar. And in football, India begin campaign at the SAFF Championships with a 4-0 win over Pakistan in Bengaluru. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.